Hey guys, so I'm back. I know it's been like a week and a half since I've done a review. I had to actually even think like, what was my last review? And I'm like, oh yeah, Parasite. Which, thank you to everybody by the way who's watched my review for Parasite and has commented on my review for Parasite and said nothing but nice things. Like I said, a lot of people from like South Korea and a lot of foreign countries have commented on my videos for that movie. Some of my most popular videos still to date was the Raid 2, which was one of my favorite, another fabulous movie that I reviewed. And like Parasite, like I said, apparently I gotta start doing more foreign language films and maybe I'll get more views. I guess that's what I need to start doing. So anyways, yeah, I kind of took a sabbatical this past week, if you want to call it that. Mainly, it wasn't that I was sick or anything like that. It was mainly I took one look at what came out last week and I was like, I don't fuck that shit. My life is too fucking short to go see crap like that. That's how great last week was as far as the releases were. I'm like, nothing looked appealing. Nothing like looked like jumped out at me. I'm like, I don't really want to see these fucking movies. I really don't. Like this is the first week, and last week it was the first week in a long time where I was like, maybe I'm just gonna start going back to reviewing movies that are getting good reviews and are movies that I want to see that despite whatever reviews they're getting, I was planning on seeing regardless. And I thought about that I went back and forth about that for about a week, and I decided, like, last couple of days, like, fuck it, might as well still continue doing these reviews where I review everything that comes out, and eventually I have a feeling one of these movies is going to break me. I have a feeling, so after the last movie I saw in the theaters was Parasite, one of the best films of the fucking last year or so. One of the, obviously won Best Picture and everything. And then, what do I go see a week after that? After having seen one of the best films in cinema, I see Brahms The Boy II. First off, that's one of the worst fucking titles I've ever heard in my entire life. I hate that title. Like, just even going up to the ticket counter going, one for Brahms The Boy II. It's just like, it doesn't roll off the fucking tongue. I'm not the only one who's pointing it out. Like, that's a terrible title. Like, you couldn't really, just call it The Boy II, alright? So, yeah, I was not looking forward to this one fucking bit. One of the big reasons was I didn't see the first boy. I said boy. The first The Boy, I guess what the hell you want to call it. I knew I had heard it was decent, and I heard it was alright. It wasn't that bad. I'd heard what the twist of the movie was. When it came out, somebody spoiled it for me, and I'm like, that's pretty creative. And I'm going, that's pretty creative. And I just never got around to watching it. Like, going into this movie, I didn't feel like going back and watching it because I just didn't. I don't have the time to do that. But I kind of got a little refresher course of like what went on in that movie, just in case it's referenced in this movie, just so that like I'm not confused if a character pops up from that movie or anything like that. So I try to give myself a refresher course to kind of find out the full plot details of that movie as much as I could going into this movie. And from what I was told going into this movie was a standalone movie. It really didn't have much to do with, other than like the basic plot. Nothing really didn't really have much to do with the first one. And man, I should have saw The Invisible Man. I was like, I really want to see The Invisible Man. I've been talking about that movie for fucking ever. Instead, I saw this shit. This movie fucking was awful. It was awful. It was just as bad as I thought it was going to be. And it's like, God damn it. Like, I did this to myself. I really did this. I should have just went back. I should have just went with my original plan and just, I was like, God damn it. And just, start reviewing movies that are only getting critically well received. But, well, here I am reviewing Brahms The Boy II. I can't even think of anything positive to say about this fucking movie. This movie sucked. It did. Like, from what I gathered, from even if you're a fan of the first one, from what I gathered and from what some of the reactions I was hearing, this movie is a terrible fucking sequel to the fucking first one. It's just a terrible sequel. Not just alone a bad movie. It's a terrible sequel. Because, god damn it, like the first one was kind of a creative. From what I saw, it was kind of a creative concept in that, like, it tricks you into thinking that in the first one that it's like a movie about a supernatural doll, like, you know, Annabelle or Chucky or any other creepy, scary dolls that you see in every horror movie nowadays. But it made you think that it was a movie that is like all supernatural and shit like that. But from what I was told, it turned it on its head towards the end, where no, it's actually a guy living in the walls that's been doing all this crazy shit, and he's been living in the walls for like 30 years. And like, it's like, okay, that's kind of creative, kind of cool. That's who really the caretakers were talking about when they said take care of the doll, all that stuff like that. So I'm like, all right, that's cool. This doll is straight up supernatural. It's Annabelle. It's Chucky. It's every creepy fucking doll that you've ever seen in a horror movie. It's literally turning its head by itself. Like, at that point, when it started turning its head by itself, I'm like, it's supernatural at this point. And it is. And it becomes every generic, dumb, and it's not even very good. Like, hell, it's not even fucking Annabelle. It's Annabelle. I didn't even care for those movies that much. The best one that was of the Annabelle movies was Annabelle Comes Home. I actually liked that movie. But this is just garbage. Like, this is not even fucking scary. It's a possessed doll that's, you know, commanding the kid to do all this crazy shit, yada yada yada. And it is one thing I guess I could say nice. It's nice seeing Katie Holmes in a movie again. I was like, that is one positive thing I could say. That's about it. The acting isn't terrible, but it's just a terrible movie that they're involved. I've seen worse acting than this. This trailers for this movie are fucking misleading. Because it makes you think like it's about this kid who's crazy, or Katie Holmes and her husband are raising this kid who's like a crazy psycho killer in training, basically, because from the trailers you see him all one of the stuffed bears like all ripped up to shreds and shit like that, and they're all frightened that maybe he's about to turn into a psycho killer, and so they decide to move him out into the countryside to the just so happens to be the manor from the first one. That's what I gathered from the plot from the trailers. But no, that's not the entire plot. The kid isn't crazy from the get-go. He isn't. He's a normal fucking kid. What happens is, early on in the movie, Katie Holmes, there's a home invasion that happens where Katie Holmes almost gets knocked the fuck out by one of the burglars and almost dies. And right after that, it cuts to like a few months later, and the kid is now a mute because he saw his mom almost die. And Katie Holmes is like fucking losing her mind, like having these horrible dreams about these robbers coming back in their house and killing her and shit like that. She's having these vivid, horrible dreams, and she's like, it even gets to the point like where you think maybe she's crazy, maybe, you know, she is seeing things and the doll isn't really, you know, moving or isn't really have a mind of its own, but it's one of those things that, like, you're like, okay, that's kind of cool and clever, maybe they're gonna go do something clever with it, but then they just fucking drop it halfway for the movie and it's never mentioned again. I'm like, it's somehow resolved off screen, her mental problems. She has some vivid mental problems. she's obviously going like have very bad PTSD. So has this kid, even though he really didn't. Although he just saw his mom get knocked the fuck out, but that's pretty much it. Even though that scene right there was fucking awful, because when the burglary happened, I could barely tell what the fuck was going on because it was so badly shot and edited. And God, it's oh yeah, forgot to mention this movie's directed by William Brent Bell. You don't know who he is? He made such fucking horror classics such as The Devil Inside. That should tell you everything you need to know about this movie. And I'll even mention that. I'll mention that movie one more time when I get into the ending of this movie. But yeah, it's like this guy's a terrible fucking director, and that scene just proves it. Like, God, that scene was terribly edited and shot. I couldn't tell what the fuck was going on sometimes. Like, what the fuck? There's also the cliches that I can't stand in horror movies. Like, there's the fake out dream sequence in a fake out dream sequence. Like, there's like a double like fake out dream sequence at the same fucking time. Like, that is so fucking lame. I hate it. God, I can't stand it. There's something about horror. This is something that has been bugging me about horror movies for like the last decade or so that I see happen a lot in these kinds of movies, especially like haunted house movies. And nobody can ever explain this to me. I know, like, you can maybe make an excuse when it comes to like if it's a period piece movie, but this movie takes place in modern day, and I just have to ask this question. When people in horror movies move to a new house, why do nobody in these fucking movies ever research the house they're about to fucking move into? Like, why? You have Google now. All you have to do is Google the house and see that's a fucking murder house before you move into it, and maybe go, maybe this is not a good idea to fucking live here. I mean, simple fucking solution. Simple solution to Amityville. But anyways, that always drives me nuts, and this happens in this movie too. But there's a funny scene in this movie that I couldn't stop fucking cracking up. So Katie Holmes Googles searches the house like halfway through the fucking movie, maybe like the last act of this movie. She finally like Google searches this house and tries to see what the fuck is going on in this house. Oh yeah, by the way, they don't live in the house from the original. They lived in the guest house that's like adjacent to the manor in the first movie. So they're living in this guest house. That's where the majority of the movie takes place, and towards the end you get more into the manor. But she decides to finally Google this manor that they're living next to, and like I swear to God, the first headline on Google under Google search reads, realtors are having trouble selling this manor because a man lived in the walls for 30 years and caused a bunch of murders. And I'm sitting there like, what the hell? Like, why don't you fucking move now? Like, and she barely even notices that fucking. I noticed it right off the fucking bat. I'm just sort of like, what the hell? And then there's another funny part where she's trying to find out the numbers that are associated with the doll or whatever, something like that, on the bottom of the foot. And this is so fucking dumb. So she finds this antique doll website where she tries to find a doll on this antique doll website. She tries to put the numbers in, and nothing pops up. But then she realizes, I could just flip the paper upside down, and it's a number. The number's upside down. That's why I typed it in wrong. I'm like, that is so fucking dumb. I was like, that was really goddamn dumb. Also, this movie has I'll say this. I thought the turning was worse, but this movie's ending sucked. This movie sucked really bad. Like, it's only appropriate that it's from the director of The Devil Inside that made this, because this guy does not know how to make a fucking ending if his life depended on it. Because I don't know what the fuck happened in this ending of this movie. It made no sense. Especially the last shot of this movie made no sense. I don't know what the fuck happened, what I was supposed to interpret that was as, but I don't know. That ending made no fucking sense. And by that point, I wasn't really that mad, because by that point, I was having none of this fucking movie. So I was just like, fuck it. This makes no sense, but whatever. God, I hated this movie. This sucked. God, Brahms The Boy II sucked. Terrible title. Sucky movie. Don't fucking recommend it one bit. God damn it, this movie sucked. I didn't get any new trailers for this one, in front of this one. I have one more review to do, and until then, I'll talk to you guys later.